what's up everybody? Remi Sovran here from RemiSovran.com. Today we're in the kitchen. I want to share with you a little nutritional tip. And it's something that a lot of people might not be aware of or they just don't know of. And it's the problem with reheating your food. So right here, I'm standing next to my microwave. And so a lot of you may be wondering what is the problem with reheating your food. And so there's actually a lot of problems with reheating your food, especially if you have leftovers from the day before and you're reheating those foods for lunch the next day or dinner the next day. So what ends up happening is that when you reheat your food in a microwave, for instance, you're exposing the food to very high temperatures. What ends up happening is that when you expose your food to very high temperatures, it can change the molecular components of the food. So by changing the molecular components of the food, it could ultimately break down various proteins, various enzymes, vitamins, minerals in the food, and it almost basically makes the food less nutritious, and it could potentially even make it harmful to our bodies because it could create various toxins, and ultimately it's just less healthy for us, especially when we go to consume it. So for instance, if you take a piece of chicken, for instance, that you cooked the night before, but then you had some leftovers in the fridge, and then you warmed it up in the microwave the next day, what ends up happening is when you expose that chicken to very high temperatures, the protein structures and the protein content can begin to be broken down, ultimately, and toxins could potentially develop. The same would apply to other types of food like vegetables or even rice, for instance, especially if you leave rice out at room temperature for a long period of time. Because what is happening if you leave something like rice at a room temperature for a long period of time, various bacteria can begin to form, making the rice poisonous. Then when you go to put it in the microwave and you expose those bacteria to high heat, although they may break down, the bacteria could also change in terms of its components, molecular components, and it could potentially become more harmful, forming carcinogens, various toxic substances. So guys, the biggest thing here is that what I'm trying to explain is that if you're looking to optimize performance, looking to stay as healthy as possible, especially if you're an athlete or a high performance individual, the thing is that when you reheat food, it could affect your endocrine system. You could potentially be putting toxins in your body and various broken down proteins, minerals, vitamins that you may not realize. And so you're not necessarily optimizing performance when you're eating your food. You're actually making it much more harder on your body in terms from an endocrine standpoint, because if you're looking to, whatever it may be, build muscle, if you're running a marathon or if you're a high performance basketball athlete, by doing this, it could alter your body's chemistry, and it could make it more toxic and more harmful, especially when you're reheating food. So the biggest kind of tips here, guys, is a couple things to consider now ultimately. Is that number one is that you need to do your research. You need to do your research on what foods and how food is basically ultimately affected by the reheating process of a microwave or whatever it may be. Secondly is also consider that the longer you're reheating your food for in the microwave, the more the food is going to be exposed to high temperatures, the more it's going to break down in terms of its molecular components, enzymes, and vitamins, minerals, proteins, and all that sort of stuff. But then thirdly is you need to consider also that you want to kind of avoid using the microwave as much as possible and just eating your food as fresh as possible. So eating fresh food as much as possible and avoiding this process of reheating as much as you can. Because by doing this, you're avoiding breaking down those components, and by eating fresh, you're maximizing kind of your value from the foods you're eating. And therefore, that's just a way of optimizing performance, and it's a way of staying as healthy as possible. So guys, that's just kind of my little nutritional tip that I want to share with you today. It's something a lot of people might not be aware of, and it's something I feel like a lot of people need to be aware of, because a lot of people just will use their microwave just to reheat food, and they'll always have leftovers, but they don't realize that they're actually breaking down those types of foods. Also, one last thing I want to mention too is that if you want to avoid reheating your food with plastic too. So if you have a plastic bowl and you're reheating it, what ends up happening is the plastic molecules, as the plastic is warmed up, it could ultimately be transferred into the food. So you're getting plastic molecules in the food, more toxins into the food, more harmful. So that's just kind of the last little thing I want to share with you. So guys, that's just kind of my little video for you today, and hopefully you were able to learn something, and next time you're careful about reheating your food and you're doing your research, and you're trying to stick to just eating as fresh as possible, and that's primarily the way to go, and the way I mainly recommend, and I know a lot of other people recommend as well. Okay guys, so if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more nutritional tips, or whether it be fitness tips, strength tips, whatever it may be sure to subscribe to my channel. Okay guys, I wish you guys all the best and a successful and productive day. Take care.